People from coast to coast got quite creative while being forced to isolate last year. Many of them saw it as a perfect opportunity to grow their family by an additional 4 paws, at least. We're talking pandemic puppies, but sometimes it's not all it's cracked up to be. We'd like to welcome back Dr. Karen London, certified applied animal behaviorist and certified professional dog trainer. It's good to see you again, Dr. London.
It's great to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, people got lonely. They thought, well, I'm spending all this time at home. Now I can have the dog I've always wanted. But while it provided company and comfort, there's some challenges associated with this, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, the pandemic puppies have given so much love and so much solace to people, but a lot of people have found that they've sort of bit off more than they can chew. And I think they're in need of some help and suggestions for how to make the journey just a little easier with their new pup.
Now, we like alliteration, so we call it pandemic puppies, but this is really dogs of all ages too.
Yes, well, I think most people use the term kind of interchangeably for any dog, but it's especially challenging for the puppies. And really, to me, the term pandemic puppies it's like a generation. Like there's Gen Xers when they choose to talk about us, and there's the baby boomers and the millennials. And to me, pandemic puppies, they're just a cohort of puppies that are being born and brought into homes of whatever age at this certain time when it's a totally different, it's not post-war, it's not, like a recession from the, like
Sure.
millennials dealt with, but it's just an era of puppies that are brought in when the world is so different. Their experiences are so different than any other dogs that have come before or since.
And I want to talk about some of those differences. Certainly for the animal shelters and all the communities across the country, this has been great news because a lot of these animals, they found new homes. So this is an opportunity to make sure that these animals had a loving family to go to. However, the challenges that this poses, let's start. So let's start with the puppies, the young ones. So you bring one into your home, you're home all the time. Where's the challenge there?
Well, when you say you're home all the time, that actually is one of the challenges. On the bright side, these dogs have been brought into loving homes. People are there for them. They're really bonded with them because they spent so much time together. But one of the big challenges is that dogs that are in the pandemic puppy, era, they don't have experience being on their own at all. So, I mean, it's the common phrase I like to use is, oh, they're not going to like it when we leave the house to go back to work. I mean, it's really hard for them. And so that is a huge, huge challenge. That's one of the big ones. And the other thing is, and this especially applies to the younger ones, is they're not getting all those experiences that we want puppies to have, like seeing the school bus go by, and they're not meeting new people. People are crossing the street when they see them on a walk to keep our social distancing up. And that's just not a very normal environment for them. If they need to learn that all puppies and all people are great and they're not meeting them, it's really hard.
So socialization is such an important thing, especially in the beginning life stages for a puppy, is to be well socialized so that it not only can distinguish bad from good in terms of threat, but it's an ability to relate to other animals and people. But that separation anxiety, that can occur in dogs that are older as well. So I want to talk about some of the older animals. I personally had adopted a dog who was about 6 years old, kept her in my backyard for a day after having had her for maybe a week, and come back and the screen doors are completely ripped. So there was that separation anxiety of, wait, where did you go? So how do you then ease them into now I guess I could say a post-pandemic world, but as we start easing out of this self-quarantine situation?
Right. And you're so right. There's so many of these dogs, they haven't been alone. And I think a lot of times when adult dogs are adopted, they are so grateful to be in a home. I think puppies kind of are like, oh, this is great. Like, what did I expect life to be? But older dogs sometimes are so grateful they can almost become like stressed about the idea of not having you because they know what it's like not to have been in this nice experience. I don't know that I can really say puppies or dogs think this, but I think they appreciate it. They act like they do. And one of the most important things about keeping dogs from developing separation anxiety is being proactive about it, starting ahead of time. So everyone that has dogs, especially ones they've just adopted, should actively think about giving their dogs experience being alone. And it doesn't have to be for a long time, but even if you practice putting them in their crate like they might be in if you're leaving, when you go to the mailbox, it doesn't have to be long, or a walk around the block, or the whole family leaving. Leave the dog with something to do, keep it low key, make it a fun thing for them. Like, oh, I get to stay home with my stuffed, Kong filled with sausage treats. How fantastic. Oh, you're back already? Bummer. You want them to get practice. And the key is doing it before you're going to leave for, 3 hours, 5 hours, an 8-hour day. Start with little tiny absences.
Good point. I want to talk further about the crate training, but we'll do that after the commercial. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We're with Dr. Karen London, certified applied animal behaviorist and certified professional dog trainer. And we've been talking about pandemic puppies. And you were just mentioning before the break about crate training them. So even though during a pandemic, if you are working from home, you have a dog there, they sleep at your feet, but it's good to separate from them so that when it comes time for you to actually leave the house, they won't freak out.
Right. And crates are one way to do that. It's not the only way, as long as they're in a place that's safe for them. Many dogs love their crates. And the key about teaching them to be okay in a room by themselves or the house by themselves or a crate by themselves is that you're not banishing them while all the fun's going on elsewhere. It's best to do it at a quiet time, have a crate or the laundry room or wherever you keep them open. They can go in there, find good things. There's a cozy place to sleep. There's water. There's food if they're left with food all the time. And you just want to make it so that when they're in there, they're happy. So that means never forcing them, starting slow. I sometimes just will toss treats into a crate. And the dog goes in, gets the treat, comes out. They're not like, it's just a game to them. Like, oh, I go in there and I find treats. How fun is that? Right, and then once they're more comfortable in there, then you would close it, close the laundry room, close the door to, a bedroom that they're in, close the crate door just for a moment while they're still happily eating something, let them out. So it's always that they choose to go in and always that they're happy in there.
And let's talk about socialization too, though, because now that people are getting back out there together again, if a dog hasn't seen another dog ever or in a very long time, how would you ease them into playing with one another?
Well, so socialization is actually a very specific term that refers to early experiences, usually when a dog's between like 6 and either 12 to 16 weeks, depending on what source you look at. And socialization is the having experiences with lots of things in a very critical period when it's the only time that dogs can really learn certain things. Much like people can only really learn a language at a certain time, at a young time. It's harder and harder the older you get. Same with puppies. So if dogs are beyond that period, we just need to be really patient. They're not going to just have 1 or 2 positive experiences with a dog and learn that all dogs are great, which is what we're trying to do with puppies. So the key is never to force them and always to keep experiences positive. So, for example, if I have a dog that maybe is a little nervous, hasn't had experience with dogs, the first thing I'm going to want to do is take them on a walk with another dog, but at we were doing socially distancing before it was the thing, like walking even on opposite sides of the street. Those 2 dogs, they're walking together. So by the time they gradually get approached by each other and get closer, the novelty is worn off. So one of the best things you can do is just have them moving in the same direction so they get used to each other. And then gradually they can start to, meet over smells in the grass and sniff. I wouldn't have them play together until you could be confident that just in a moving, continuous situation, they were having good experiences.
They also read your own body language as well. They take cues from their masters. So if you are friendly, say, towards another dog, is that also kind of positive reinforcement that they should also be kind to the idea of being social with this dog or other person?
I think you're so right that that our dogs cue off of us. Some dogs, if we pay attention to another dog, actually don't like it. Like, hey, I want that attention. So it depends on the dog. But certainly one of the best things we can do if we're around another dog or around another person is to be relaxed. So if we tense up and hold the leash like, I hope this is okay, that's very stressful for dogs, especially holding breath seems to upset a lot of dogs, like if we're tense like that. So one of the best things that you can do to keep yourself calm is to talk. So you can even say something like, oh, here we go, we're going to meet this dog. But it doesn't matter. You could say like, I really do like pickles and ice cream. What's wrong with that? As long as you keep a relaxed, happy tone, then our dogs are going to cue off of that. And that can be super helpful.
Great advice. Dr. Karen London, thank you so much. Dogs get jealous too. That's something that I've taken away from this. I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
they want the attention for themselves. No, but great advice, Dr. London. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It was good to see you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
We're back after this.